Right, here we are, nice and early again. We'll wait for some people to come on. Thank you. So this is the card that's going to be done today. Okay, and if I move it to the light, you can see it's full of shiny glitters. It's all shiny. It's full of glitters inside, behind this acetate here. Okay, it's always difficult showing a glitter when it's in acetate. So, a couple of things I'd like to say. This is made with one of the new paper cut scenes, and there's a few of these which we've just had in. This is called the Polar Winter. So obviously it's got polar bears and penguins and mountains and a little seal down here. Okay, and it's just one little die like this. So for any of these things, the link for the Christmas area in our shop and online is actually being advertised by the link at the bottom. And if you could share this video, like it, share it, and invite people to it, that'd be lovely. And just keeping an eye on the time as well. So I've actually got like a reverse polar thing here, and I'm going to change this back a bit today and do this bit as well. And it's actually a card that's got a little book end to it as well. Okay. So just going to make sure that it's, I start on time. There's a few people who might be hanging on till 2. So if you're watching, if you want to type a little message and say hello, so I know who's watching, that would be lovely. Okay, so type hello if you want to say hello. Oop, and I just moved the camera a bit. Don't worry about that, I can sort that out. There we go. That should be better. It's okay. Okay. I got the camera. There we are, almost there. Just get the camera back in line. Hi Tina, how are you? Hi Teresa. Hi anybody you... Hi Michelle. Yeah, that's it, I'm ready now. And I think we're about on time now. Yep, so that's 2 o'clock now, so I think we can start making a move. So I'll start doing, move that out of the way, because that's what keeps it in the camera. There we are, that's better. Right, let's get on with the card then. Okay, so what I'm actually going to show you today is how to make this card. There's a couple of different layers inside and a few layers inside and outside. And I'm going to be using the embossing folder as well. I'm going to be using some navy blue card. I'm using the Polar Winter paper cut scene. Oh God, I'm glad you're okay. Hi Michelle. So I'm going to pop that card to the back a minute so that we can continue on with what we're doing. So to make the card, I'm going to take one of our sheets of 300 grams super smooth. I say Sarah, Ridgway. I always get that muddled up, don't I? So what I'm doing, I'm taking an A4 300 gram piece of card and putting a landscape on my centimetre side of my scoreboard, and I'm actually going to score it at 14.5 and 15.5. Okay, so I'm just gently scoring it. Then I'm going to flip the top half to the bottom half, and I'm going to go over those lines again. So 14.5 and 15.5, and then that will give me a card that's got a little wedge there. Okay, just gives me a little sort of wedge there. And then that's all my scoring done. Hope everybody's okay. Hi Alison. Yes, we're fine, and I'm still awake. Been awake since something like 4 o'clock this morning, so must have been excited about doing this. So what I'm going to do then, I'm taking the base card, okay, that I've just made, and that's an A4, pop it in, score it 14.5 and 15.5, and then I'm folding it to make sure that it's the bigger piece that I'm going to cut on. Okay, so then I'm taking 2 dies, 2 circular dies. I'll give you rough sizes, and this is because I'm using this die. I'm using the polar one. I'm using 2 circle dies. One of them is 10.5 and the other one is 11 centimeters wide. Okay, so I'm going to be using this one first, and I'm going to flip that. So my card, that's how it closes. This is the front area, and I'm going to pop this so that it's, I'm going to show you where the fold is. I'm centralising it left to right, and I'm just leaving a little bit more of a gap at the top. Now I can tell you with this die, it's just over 1.5 centimeters. Yeah, just over 1.5, and I've probably left out about 2 centimeters from the top. Okay. And then what I'm going to do, hi Bev, I'm going to tape that onto the card to cut this out. And today I'm just going to use my ground caliber today. Cuts nice and easy on this one. So I'm just going to pop that there, pop it on to there, bring my ground caliber in, and just pop that through. So I hope everybody is doing okay as well, all getting back to sort of normal, as much as normal as we can get anyway. So now I've cut that, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to try and keep all the other bits of this die still in all the rest of this card. I'm going to try and keep all of it still in the die. So I'm just going to take some sort of poker tool or stuff like that. So I'm peeling that off. Push that back down. Okay. Because I want to use that later as it is. Okay, oops, that came out of there, so that's part of the polar bear, so he's got to go back in. Okay, make it sort that out after. So I just want to keep that in as much as I can. And I'm going to pop that to the side out of the way. And then I'm going to just poke out all the little bits. Use a pokey tool. I'm just using my tweezers for now because that's what I've got with me. It's only a few little bits to come out. And then when I move that to the side, that is my nice little image. So you can see on this that we've got a little seal's head popping out of the water. We have two little penguins. We've got like a baby polar bear and we've got like a mammy or daddy polar bear there. So now I've done that, I need to put that to the back there. And I need to grab my piece of acetate, which is behind me. And this piece of acetate, I literally just need to cut to about 13 by 12 centimeters. Okay. Hi Deborah, how are you? So I'm going to cut the 12 centimeters first and then turn it and cut it to 13. Okay, and that's the only piece I'm going to use. The rest will come from another card. And then what I'm going to do then is take some super sticky double-sided. So this is the equivalent to the red liner tape. And I'm going to leave that on there so you can see, because I think you can see the acetate better on there. I'm just putting the tape just around the edge. Doesn't have to be right up to the edge. And it doesn't have to really butt up to each other either. I'm just being overly cautious with it all. Hi Donna. So we haven't done a live for a while because we've been doing a lot of double classes in the shop. We've been revising or revisiting some of the online classes and the die storage class as well. So that's why we haven't done many lives, because it's just been a bit crazy. So then what I'm doing, I'm just removing the liner, and this brown stuff doesn't stick to your hands like the red stuff as well, so it's a lot nicer. I'm going to stick it down so that none of the sticky is in any of the open areas. So it's literally just fitting the acetate to the back of that image. Okay, and if there is a few little bits you'd like to stick down, which isn't a problem, you can leave them all loose. It adds a little bit of dimension. Okay, then you can actually, and I find it's literally just the polar bear's head and this little bit of land, a little bit of snow there, it tends to stick out a bit. So I just put a tiny little dot of glue on the back of them. Okay, I put a bit of glue on the back of that, and I put a bit of glue on the back of his head, and I just stick them down. And you can do the same with the mountains if you want, but they're absolutely fine for me. Okay, And then what we're going to do is flip it over. Okay, so this is now on the back of the acetate and it's going to be on the inside of the card, so that's how it opens up. So I'm working on this side of it. And I've got a little piece of paper, which is scrap paper, which we've had for a while. It's probably ancient now. And I'm going to take my PVA glue. This is the high-tech original. And I'm going to start adding some glitter behind some of these areas. So the first thing I'm going to do is the mountains. So you don't need to put it too thick, but you do need to cover it. So wherever you want to add the colour glitter you're adding, just put a thin layer of glue. Okay, and then because I know I'm going to do my mountains in a goldy copper, I'm actually going to do the beaks of the penguins, the feet of the penguins. Okay, and I'm going to do this little seal's eyes so it looks brown as well. Okay, and in fact I'll even do the scarf on the little polar bear, sort of a coppery gold as well. Okay, and then that's all you need to do is drop some glitter on there and over the seal's eyes. And if you want, you can even anti-static that before you start adding the glue as well, but I find it doesn't really matter. Okay, you just tap it and all the bits come off anyway. So now from the front you can't see much of the colour. Okay, and that's because the white of the glue now has to dry. So the glue has to dry so you can see all the colours coming through. You can see a little bit there, but it's not fully in line. Okay, so that is the copper, and I'm going to go through adding these colours pretty quick so we can get to the other bits. So that's that. Then I'm going to add the sky. Go in. I'm just going around there, just adding a little bit of this glue. I don't mind if the glue is quite rough, just making sure I'm not going into the areas I don't want it to go into. Okay, so this is for the sky. I missed a little bit at the bottom there. There we are. Okay, and with the sky, I'm actually going to mix a little something for the sky. Okay, I've got an empty little glitter pot here. And what I'm actually going to do is add a little bit of a clear glitter. So this is the other thing, don't be afraid to mix. And I'm going to take my pale blue, which says superfine glitter. I'm going to add a bit of the blue glitter into that. Put the lid on and mix that around. And by putting blue glitter in with a clear glitter, it will actually make it look a bit paler. I'm just going to sprinkle some of that on. So if anybody's got any questions, don't be afraid to ask. Okay, and that's all I'm doing is knocking the glitter off again and flicking the piece of card, and now that's my pale blue with a bit of clear for the sky, and now I can keep that in that little pot, and I know I've got a paler blue in there, so I could mix a lot more in there. And then I'm going to add some black. Now I didn't have a black glitter, but I have got a sparkly black embossing powder, and it's only for the penguins and sort of the little bits. So I'm going to add in the black. So it's quite quick. The eye of the polar bear. Do that. Hi Andrew. It is damp, yes, it's damp here as well. So what I'm now doing, I'm just adding a little bit of the black in there as well. My penguins. And the reason I'm doing black now is because I want to get rid of the darkest colour out of my way. And I could have started with black, but that is that. So I'm just checking, making sure I've got everything. Okay, so that's my black done. And if you've got any little speckles, you can just wipe them off, or just give it a blow. Okay. And then I'm going to do just the black, then I'm going to do this big river water area. Yeah, you can use embossing powders. Sometimes people struggle with glittery embossing powders, so if you wanted to have a little bit of a glittery thing, you can use the embossing powders, because we're not going to heat it anyway, we're just using it as a powder. So yes, we can. And when I'm doing the water, I'm just sort of trying to keep it in lines. So even though I'm not going up and down, then I'm just going back and forth, left to right, so that it's sort of, if I miss bits, it's still going to look sort of quite watery, because I'm not filling all the areas of the acetate on the water as well. And then this little bit here is between the penguin, is between the polar bear's legs, and that one, and this bit here as well. And then this is a bit of the water, and that is a bit of water. And now on this one, I'm actually going to use a darker blue and a lighter blue. So it's the lighter blue I added with the clear earlier. So I'm going to start with the lighter blue. And with these, they've got like a little shaker area, it's got little holes, and then it's also got a big area. So if you just want to pour a small amount, just turn it so you've got 1 or 2 holes showing. Okay, so there is only 1 or 2 holes showing in the open area there. And then I'm just going to go along, I'm going to tap it, and again I'm moving left to right, so it gives it a bit of a flow. Okay. Well, I want more of this colour than the dark one, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to open that up to the big area, tap that onto my card to get all the excess of that off, and then that open area of that pot, it's actually big enough for me to put my point of my card in and tap the glitter back in. You might get a few little stray speckles left, but you do get most of it in. Okay, and then I'm going to add the darker blue. just roughly going in, and then some of the darker one over the top. Again, like I've said, I'm not worried if I miss a little bit. Going to open that to the biggest area on the pot. Tap out and flick the card to get rid of the darker blue. Okay. Waste not want not exactly. Pay for it, so no point overusing it. So that's that one closed. And now that's all I've got left to do is actually the large polar bear's scarf. And I've got the small polar bear left, its body. So the scarf of the big polar bear, I'm actually going to do in red. Okay. So I better add some glue to that. Okay. So that's the red of the scarf. I'm going to close that one, and then the last polar bear I actually did in sort of a white glitter, and this one was an old Flower Soft one, so some people might have this one there, or you might even have one that's got like greeny blue speckles in there. Just got sort of greeny and sort of lilac-y speckles in there, but it is a chunky white glitter, not a clear glitter. So then what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to do this polar bear in that one. Try not to make the glue too thick, because obviously you've got to wait for that to dry. So the thicker it is, the longer it'll take to dry. Okay, and then when I do this polar bear, if there's any bits of glue now that haven't been taken by a glitter, I'd rather they be taken by this one. Okay, so literally what I'm going to do, I'm going to just pour it over the lot. Okay, I'm going to pour that over the lot, pour it out, tap that off, and there's my polar bear covered. But there, and any little bits now that wasn't actually glued properly or covered by other glitters is now actually covered by that glitter as well. Okay, so as I said, you don't see much from the front until that glue dries. Okay, so I'm going to pop this one to the side. And put this glitter away. And this glitter always goes everywhere, always covered in it. And then any spray glitter, I just use my cloth, pop it on there, and I've got a pot here that's got a mixture of all different glitters from when I've done things like this, and I'm just going to pop that waste in there. It is Shearer, yes. In true Blue Peter style, eh? So here's one I've done earlier. And you can see now that all the colours have come out. All the sky is nice and sparkly, it's got a little bit of the tea, the greenies. Polar bear is not quite dry, and that was done at 6 o'clock this morning. So like I said, it does take a while for the glue to dry because it's on an acetate. It's not very porous, but most of the others are dry. It's just a little bit behind the polar bear and a little bit in that sky. but you can see all the other bits there. So it is very, in fact, let's bring it to the camera a bit closer. See if we can get that glitter showing. Get that sparkle. Yeah, it's all right. Okay, so now we've got that. I am going to pop that just to the back a minute, and then I want to talk about this piece. So for everybody that knows me, I hate it when you spritz in and stuff like that, you end up with a little bit of ink on, or your spritzers still left on your mat. Okay, but I got an habit of taking a bit of card and just picking up the waste, and then I end up with like really light sort of coated sheets like this, and that is what I've used on this one. So this one had more greens in it, this one's got a bit of blue, a little bit of red, and there's a little bit of gold in it as well. So I'm sure you can see the shimmer on that as I move it back and forth the light. Okay, so this is what's going to go on here. Yeah, you can see the shimmer on that, that's lovely. Okay, yeah, I like the glitter. I love the glitter behind this acetate. It's really, really nice. Sort of a coating crystal sort of thing as well, which you could do. So, but that is that. So this I'm going to be using in a minute as well. But the first thing I want to do is start cutting the, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot the top of my head then. First thing I'm going to do is start cutting this blue panel for the front. The blue panel is going to go in the back here, and this blue panel here. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do now. So we'll take one piece and we're going to cut it while landscaping my guillotine. I'm going to use centimetres again, so this is A4. I'm cutting it 14 centimetres. I'm going to prop that to the back, pick up the next piece and cut that to 14 centimetres. Okay, and that little piece might come in handy later. And then I'm going to turn them landscape that way, and I'm going to cut it to 20.5. So the little bits that come off there we won't be using. Okay, and then the half a sheet, which I will show you. Out of this whole sheet I actually cut a circle. Okay, and I'll give you the size of that circle in a minute, because what I did was take all the white bits from there, pop a little bit of glue on the back of that with the river, put a bit of glue on the back of all those white pieces, turn that around onto my blue piece of card and just push them through with a pokey tool, which means you get a reverse of the image you got on the front. Okay, so you can see there's the polar bear with his legs, that's the other polar bear, and there's your mountains and your sun or your moon. Okay, it is a lovely die, very, very nice. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to put this piece in and I'm going to cut this one to 13.5. Now this is half a centimetre different because of the 3mm difference from 30 centimetres to 297, which is what A4 is. So that's why this one's been cut to 13.5 first. So now I've got the one short one, and that narrow one is going to go on the back bit there. Okay, one of these is going to be fitted to the back of that, and then the other one we need to cut a circle out of. Okay, so this is what we need to do first. So I'm going to pop those two blue bits to the back. I'm going to move my guillotine out of the way for now. And this is what I do to work out where I've got to cut my circle. I pop my card so I have my gap at the top and the bottom. And this is the smaller of the two dies that I chose earlier, which the smaller one was 10.5. Okay, and I'm going to pop that so that it's a little bit higher than this and a little bit lower than that, and that's fine. And then what I do, I just move it over, bring it, so that's where my score mark is. So I now know that that is central, and I just center that there as well. Okay, and you can centralize it anyway by measuring it with the ruler. Yep, that's fine. Okay, and then that will probably be the same as the side bits. Yep, just down a little bit more. Okay, and then what we're going to do, we're going to tape that on again. Yeah, I think there's 7 different ones of these dies. Some of them are not oval-ish shape, some of them are square in shape, but there are some nice different ones there. So now I have my die on there. Have my die on that, and move that to the side a minute. I'm going to bring in the grand caliber again. That's all I've done is centralise it basically left to right and just made sure that it was going to fit over the window. So just place that there and just make sure that it's fitting within that. Okay, and I can do that with this one. And then I'm going to take my 2 plates again and pop that in the machine. Okay, so that's that. And when I go to place this, so when you've cut this out of there, you won't have to cut the circle I cut out of the other one last time, out of my A4 piece. So you would actually just use it out of this, and that's the piece I actually put that on. So that was that actual size die. So when you cut that out of there, like that, you'll actually use that with the white that's left in your die. Okay, so that will come for the one now that's drying. See, so I've tried to think ahead. Okay. Right. So that is that. So the first thing I'm going to do, I think, is place, I'm going to fold that over, so I've got my score lines. Okay, I'm going to take the bigger panel of the two, and I'm going to pop that to pop that onto the back of it. Now you could put foam pads on the back of it. Okay, I am literally just going to stick that directly over there, and that won't affect any of that as long as it's dry. Okay, so that's why I'm not rubbing the middle bit there a minute, because I know that little polar bear mask guy isn't quite dry. So that's that there. In fact, it helps to push the colours forward a bit more as well and makes them a bit more vibrant. Okay, so that's that. And then this piece I'm actually going to put on foam pads, but I need to make sure that I can cut my other matten layer to go on there. So to make sure we can do that, we need to take this sort of softly coloured background. I'm going to take my guillotine. Now sometimes your edges, because you damp them down onto your inks, they'll be a little bit messier around the edges. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut this to 15. So 15 centimeters, and I'm going to turn it around so that piece is the portrait. And I'm going to cut that to 13 and a half. Okay, by 20. So that's 13 and a half by 20, which will fit onto the center of that. Okay, and I'll show you what we're going to do with that in a minute. But I also need to cut this to 13 and a half by 20 as well. Okay, so I'm going to pop that to the back, and while I'm here, I'm actually going to cut, this is a 200 gram super smooth. And I'm going to cut that to 13, so that's 13 by 20, and that's spare. So this is 200 gram and I've cut it to 13 by 20 centimeters. And this is for your writing piece. Okay, which is going to go on the inside of the card to the back. This piece is the piece we need to sort out now, and then this piece is going to go in the back of the card on that blue bit that we've just put in the back, and I'm actually going to put that on there like that as well. Okay. So I'm going to put that on the back of there. So when you open the card, you've got this on one side and then your writing panel here. So how do we do this? Well, what I do, I pop this piece to the back and I flip it over. Okay. I then level it out. So it's got the same matten layer all the way around, which is how we would be on the front. When I stick it on, I take a couple of pieces of tape, and this is just to hold it a little bit. It's still stuck together. I'm going to turn that over, and I'm going to take a pen or a pencil. So I've got a pen to hand, and that's what I'm going to do, is just go around that circle like that, and then peel the blue bit off. Okay. And now we have that circle there. To make sure we get a good proper matten layer all the way around like that, I can then take the slightly larger die, which was the 11 centimeter one. I can place that on the top of there, so that it's got the same amount of gap around the pencil line or the pen line. If I bring that up, okay, you should be able to see that pen mark just around it. So you just make sure that's even. And you take that into place. Okay, and we pop that through our machine. Okay, Shira, no problem. We'll see you on Saturday. Thank you for coming to watch. Okay, so that is now been cut, and that's going to fit on the front, and it's got its nice matte layer all the way around. And this piece we can use later. Now, on this card, I've actually heat embossed this as well. Not heat embossed, I've actually put it through an embossing folder. So that was just this piece, the one with the inky bits on it, okay? And to do that, I'm going to use the ground caliber again. I'm going to use, I think I'll use the same embossing folder I just used. You can use any folder you want, 8x8, 6x6. It's entirely up to you. Do I deboss or emboss this? I think I'll emboss it. So that's all I'm going to do. I'm just centralising it between lines that way, and then centralising it between lines that way. Okay, just so it looks quite even. Then I'm going to take my raspberry plate, which is the raspberry plate for the ground caliber. I'm going to take a rubber squashy mat. I think it's the grey one. I'm going to pop that through. So no matter what machine you use, you literally use the sandwich for your embossing folder, okay? And even if you had an A5, only got an A5 machine, you should be able to do that bit in your A5 machine. Okay. I can go to the back. It's got a little bit of embossing. And then to bring out some blues, I've actually got my craft mat, and I've just got an opaque pigment ink pad. This one is Oasis, so it's a nice pale blue, and all I'm going to do is just go direct to the paper. Okay, now I'm not pushing down on this, I'm literally just letting it gently go across the top. Okay, what that'll do, it'll actually just bring out the embossing. And because this is a pigment ink, it can take a while to dry. So what I tend to do is I wipe my craft mat first. I give the ink a quick blast So the opaque pigment ink pads are a bit like the distress oxides, so you can do the same with them, and you can even do the same with your dye-based inks as well. And it's just DTP, so you might hear that on some videos on YouTube and stuff like that, and that's all that is direct to paper. So it is a crafting term. So while that's done now, that's actually brought out the embossing a little bit, but I've still got my pinks and everything in the background. Okay, you see that there. Alright. And obviously when the ink goes on your mat, you could even spritz that, take a sheet and dab it, and that's how you get your background like that. Okay. Here were the snowfall one. I haven't actually got my snowfall one with me today. It's actually packed away ready for the class tomorrow. Otherwise I would have used my one. Oh, hi Jill, are you watching with the children? What's their names? And I'll say hello to them. So yeah, so that's that. So what I'm now going to do, I'm going to bring my card in. We've popped the blue on the back. Okay. We're going to pop this bit of blue on the front, and we're going to use some foam pads. So you can use foam pads, foam tips. Hi Ava, Harper and Jacob, how are you? Hope you're enjoying it. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to cut some of my foam pads because I've got quite large ones. Okay, and that, and that's all I'm going to do is pop some of these on there. I think some of these are a bit dodgy. I think this was a dodgy batch we had. Oh, you don't have to cry, my lovely. Oh, love her. How old are they, Jill? Crying over my dulcet tones. Probably not used to the strange man's voice. Done. Oh, that's a nice age gap for all of them as well. So now that is on there. I'm also going to put some foam pads on this as well, but I think I might cut them down a bit more. there. I was going to prepare one of these, but I thought, well, I needed to show you how to cut it first, so I needed to show you that. And then a couple more pads. 1, 2, 3, 4. That comes off. Hi Mum, how are you? Hope you're okay. Right, that's done. Just need to take that one off. It's not a very good advertisement for these, but we did have them all exchanged. We ordered some new ones and exchanged all the other bad ones that people had because they just wouldn't peel off. Just put a bit of glue on that one. Right, you're down in Sandbanks. Lovely. Give our best to everyone there. Oh, I missed a corner. Yes, I have. Oh, need to put a bit of glue on that one. Get my glue to the end. There we are, that's better. There we are. So that is the front there. I'm going to do a little border there with a nice little sentiment as well. And then on the inside, because we have this sort of gusset like a book inside. Oh right, you're just around the corner from us, are you, Jill? So because we've got the gusset here, we can actually use foam pads on the inside pieces as well. Normally we don't tend to put the inner pieces on foam pads because we can't close the card, but because this one's got a nice gusset, we can actually do that. So this is going to go on there, which will give that a nice little thing. Can put that on there. Ah, you're in Great Glen, right? Yeah, it's not far at all. So I'm going to pop that there. So this is now building the inside up as well. Okay. I'm just going to clear these foam bits to the side a minute. I'm going to take some of these little panels out. So now we've got that on the outside, that on the inside, and then I've got this for the other bit in there. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to stick this blue piece in. Not far at all then. I think you're right round, I think it's the street behind me. Which is good. If you can hear vibrating, it's just one of my phones going. But I'm not answering. Okay, so now we've got this, and now I'm going to put a little Christmas thing inside. So I'm going to keep that on the block a minute. Put that to the side. I'm going to bring in my craft mat. I think I'll bring in the blue ink this time. Just going to put some snowflakes around the edge. Yeah, it's a very nice die, Linda. We've literally had them in yesterday. Gavin put them out yesterday in the shop. So now I've got just a light bit of snowflake in the middle, which I shall actually take that off a minute. And then I'm going to take one of my bigger stamps here. I think I'll take that big Happy Christmas one there. I'm going to take my VersaFine clay. Yeah, it depends on what side of the road and whether you're up the hill and the little island is. So I'll just make sure my head's not on the way. So there's my Happy Christmas in the middle. That's that stamp cleaned. I'm going to take the little Happy Christmas as well. I know it seems a bit silly putting the same sentiment, but I'm going to take my circle that I had, that I cut off. I'm actually going to put Happy Christmas there, okay, and clean that stamp. Pop that on the sheet, and then because I have those snowflakes, I'm actually going to do that again. I'm going to take my snowflakes, I'm going to stamp them around the sentiment. Like so. So that's that piece done. I've done the inner piece with that. And then I'm also going to take one of these strips that I've actually come off the card. And on that one I'm actually going to take snowflake stamp that I just used in blue. I'm actually going to use it in black. Okay. Just give that stamp a wipe and I'll give that a clean later. That's that done. So now I've finished with the blue ink as well. that off of there. Give that a quick wipe and I'll clean that a bit later, but just a bit of water and that'll come off. And now I'm going to bring in my card again. I'm going to make sure there's no versifying on my fingers or the perfect medium, because they will stay wet for a lot longer. Okay, and what I want to do, I want to take a piece of this and a piece of this and mat and layer it on. Okay, for this piece I think I'm just going to cut it by hand. Just wanted it to be in between those lines on that line. And then I'm going to cut that to match. And I'm going to place that on there. Okay, so that goes on the front there. Okay, so that's that there, that's that there. Now because this is a writing panel, I want to fit this in flat in there really. Okay, so because if it was bumpy, if we put foam pads underneath it, then when people are writing on it, they're going to go through the holes where there's, through the card where there's no foam pads. So that can go on like that. Got that there. But to finish this off, I'm also going to put a piece of that there as well, just so that looks a bit nicer. Better cut it to fit. So that's all I'm doing. I'm leaving double gap there. I'm flipping it over and I'm cutting along the edge of that. And then when I turn it over and I flip that, I move that down, it's going to give me the same gap that side, although it wasn't square. So there we are. So now I've got that little piece there as well. I'm going to stick that onto there. And I'm going to stick that on there. Oh, that's lovely. Thank you. Okay, so that's there. We've got our writing panel there. We have that there as a little extra inside the card. We've got this on the front, but we still have to put a little sentiment on. Okay, so I stamped my sentiment earlier, and that's all I'm going to do is take a smaller die like that, take a bit of tape and stick that to there, pop that through my machine, put on the white cutting board, put that there, bring in the machine, that's that one. So that's my little sentiment. should have a bit of glue left as well. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the next die up from this one. Cut that out of there. Good if I put that on our. Pop it through my machine in a minute. And then this is my last die cut. There we are. Remember to put your dies on your magnetic shim so that you don't throw them out with any rubbish later. And then what I'm going to do, I'm just going to fit that flat onto there. Now flip that over and I'm going to put a foam pad on the back of that. And bring in my card. I'm going to place that there. And then to finish off this card, I know there's loads of sparkle and stuff in there, okay, but to finish off this card, I'm actually going to add these icicles at the top of this. So the die cut here, there's some little icicles, okay, so I'm going to do, I'm just going to add some glue along that edge and down the icicles. A little bit of glue on the top of those mountains. Along the edge of the skyline where the penguins are walking, and maybe a little bit around the edge of the river and where this polar bear is sitting. Just make a little sort of thing like this. Just add a little bit of glue around here. Just put a little bit on the top of the polar bear as well. And then I'm also going to add a little bit of glue around here. And because I'm going to use chunky glitter on this, it doesn't matter if the glue goes down a little bit rougher or misses a little bit. Go along this edge. Okay, take a little bit of glue off there, a little bit of glue off that bit there, and then what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the chunky clear glitter on my folded bit of card, and I'm going to start placing the glitter. Now I like to pour a lot of glitter over the top of it, because I find, because it's a chunky glitter, the weight of the glitter then actually acts as a bonding, so it pushes it down, and then I just pick that up, and then because you've got foam pads, you need to move it around all the four ways. Tap the card, move it around again, move it around again. So I move it all four ways, and then I have my nice sparkly glitter in areas around there. Definitely can't have too much sparkle. Okay, so that is now your card. Now if you left all this to dry, you could even turn that in and you could add a little bit of sparkle onto this little piece, but I just like that as a little decoration inside, and it stands up nicely like that. And you just pop your glitter back in your pot. Now I have got a huge pot of this glitter, and it is very chunky, very staticky as well, so it'll probably be over me even when I'm in the shop tomorrow. There we are. Pop your lids back on your glues, and then we have put that to the side of it, and pop it to the way. Let's bring the other one in. So that's one, that's two. Okay, so this one has got more of a blue tint to the front, this one's got more of a green, and I wonder if this, so as you can see, this is still the back of the glitter, and you can see little bits of it are starting to show, so some of the goldy copper showing there, some of the bluish showing there. So what I would do if you're going to do some of these cards, cut all of these out of your base card, add the glitter to the back, and just put them to the side in your craft room and close the door so no little animals can get up on it and spread glitter and glue around. But I will leave that now till tomorrow, and I will do another one of these cards tomorrow then. Okay, so for those who are in class tomorrow or from today, from tomorrow onwards, these cards will actually be in the shop as a sample. This one has only got the circle on the back. I didn't actually matte and layer that, so that's a bit different, but I changed it differently today because I preferred it with a matte and layer. So that is that one, the similar colours, similar ways, and then this is the one I've made today. Okay, so you can see I am stamped a verse in there, and I've gone with black ink around the edge instead of the pale blue. Thank you, Donna, it's very kind. Thank you, Jill. Thank you, Sarah. I always get muddled up, sorry Sarah. So I'm glad you enjoyed it. Like I said, these will be in the shop tomorrow, so people can look at them sort of first hand. I prefer this with a little matte and layer as well. So yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Don't forget, you can still share the video and it will be available. Thank you, Alison. It will still be available on YouTube within about an hour. Yes, see you tomorrow, Tina. Thank you, Carolyn, no problem. Glad you enjoyed it. Glad I enjoyed it. Look at me, covered in glitter, and I'm going to have a nice cup of tea now, or a nice cup of coffee, to see if it can keep me awake now for the rest of the afternoon. So thanks again for watching. Don't forget to keep sharing our posts, because we need that help and that little push for new customers as well. And we'll see you all soon. Thanks again. Bye.